Hello, I am Amber Meyer, Soul Alignment Coach and the creator of the Akashic Angel Healing Academy, which is a 6-month dual certification program in the Akashic Records and Angels. Joining us today for our Awakening series is Akashic Angel Healing Academy graduate Ralph Montana. Hi, Ralph.
Hey Amber, thanks for having me on today.
Ralph is the owner of Good Vibes Healing, Hypnosis, and Energy Therapy, and he is a graduate of the Angel Alchemy Academy. He is a level 2 Thetahealer, and he's most recently a QHHT certified hypnotist. And of course, he's also a certified Akashic Records reading as a graduate of the Akashic Angel Healing Academy. And so Ralph specializes in energy healing, channeling, hypnosis, and Akashic record readings. And so Ralph works with people who grapple with daily challenges of life, often finding themselves not truly present with their loved ones or even with themselves, where they may be caught up in negative reoccurring patterns, feeling blocked from achieving their full potential and living their best lives. So sounds like you're doing some pretty important work, Ralph.
Well, thanks, Amber. I mean, I'm trying. So everyone seems to be really interested these days.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your soul awakening story with us. I find that awakening stories can be so inspiring and help us feel like we're not alone on this journey. And I think it's just so helpful to learn about what helped others on their path to help us on our own. So I really think your story is going to really inspire and give our listeners some hope on their own awakening journey today.
Sure, I'll be happy to help.
Well, I thought you could start us off by telling us what awakening means to you. I find that everyone has their own definition, and that alone I find fascinating.
So I think the basic meaning of awakening is just simply awakening to the fact that there's a bigger reality that's outside what we see, feel, touch, and know in our everyday lives. For me, awakening was when my psychic gifts came online. So my whole life, I was a seeker since I was a little boy. I research extraterrestrials and vibrations and frequencies and knowing about source field energy and things like that. I was always searching for stuff like that, but not until my 30s did I be activated with my psychic abilities. So I had a kind of a rough time and my emotions were just getting the best of me. It seems like it's a very similar pattern between a lot of the psychics, mediums, intuitives that we all know. um, and I just sat down, I watched a movie and they were talking about meditation, and something I actually never did before until I was about 32. And I said, what's the worst that could happen? And I put my headphones on, I turned on some binaural beats or whatever one sounded good to me. And I just started deep breathing. And these two white orbs showed up on both sides of me
Mhm.
and said, "Hey, we're your guardian angels." And I was kind of freaked out. It was my first time. So I said, "What are you here for?" And they said, we're here to give you a second chance at life. And at that point, I needed it. So I said, "Thank you so much." And they just lifted all of this energy up out of me. And I really felt free for the first time in my whole life. So since then, obviously I'm hooked. And I've gone to so many certification classes and I've done countless meditations and I taught so many classes, and I'm just obsessed with helping people like me and anyone essentially that wants help.
Yeah, what a beautiful healer's journey that you're sharing. I think in some ways, I think a lot of us can resonate with that. That we have gone through these periods of our life that were super challenging, and we had a really hard time being able to find a way to get out of it. And then we have some sort of intuitive, psychic kind of awakening experience that can help us show us a better path. I know I similarly had really struggled with mental health my whole life, and I actually got back. I started this work actually when I was a lot younger, and then I put it on pause for a long time, and then I got back into this work through Reiki, and it was really because I was having the hardest time getting anything to work with my depression, and I had a friend suggest it to me, and I had just a mind-blowing experience with it, and then it was kind of like I was hooked after that. I was taking all the classes and doing all the reading and everything. And all I wanted to do was be able to help other people that struggled be able to find a better path as well. It sounds like that's like your experience too. It sounds like,
Absolutely. Sorry.
oh, go ahead.
I feel like there's a lot of psychic intuitives that have a very similar mental health, something might have traumatically happened to them in their past that they just can't get over, and they just live this negative recurring pattern every single day of their lives, and it affects everything. So you start to, come up with beliefs, and you start to actually believe them, and it starts to resonate with the universe, and then you start to attract these things to you. So that's what we work on. It's just one, feeling good about yourself, feeling good about what you're actually doing and why you're here, and then starting to come up with these new belief patterns about yourself that are more positive. Start pulling out all the negativity, all the toxic patterns and beliefs that you have. And we can use theta healing, hypnosis, any type of, modality. It doesn't really matter, but just really instill these new beliefs in the person.
Yeah, belief work is so powerful. And I love helping people be able to discover that. And I think it's amazing that you're helping people do that in so many different ways with all the modalities that you practice.
Thank you.
You had mentioned that your first meditation experience sounds amazing. So it sounds like meditation must have been something that really helped you along the way in your awakening journey. Was there anything else that you would suggest to anyone who feels like they're just starting their awakening journey that helped you that you might suggest to them?
I actually think being present like being present with your every action is just as important as meditation. I think there's a twofold aspect here. One, meditation helps you kind of step behind your words a little bit, or behind your actions, or behind your emotions, and then being present keeps you in the moment, right? So I'm going to touch this pen, and I feel the pen, and I'm going to speak to you and be fully present, engaged in this conversation. Or if I'm going to go have a coffee, I'm going to pick the coffee up and smell it and taste it, not just chug it and get on with my life, right? So being present and practicing mindfulness in the beginning, it becomes second nature after a while, but that actually was more beneficial probably than meditation.
Yeah, I agree with you that I think that is such a powerful piece to awakening as well as to our intuitive development. Like I see the two just
Mhm.
like so
Yeah.
interwoven. I think one of the big reasons that people miss the intuitive messages that they're receiving is that they're not present.
Yeah.
They're not present in the moment. They're not grounded. And what is that saying? Depression is living in the past, and anxiety is living in the future.
Mhm. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, it reminds me of that. So I think that mindfulness can go a really long way for both awakening and intuitive development.
I agree. And if we can throw a third thing in there, I think psychic development is actually a great third choice. It's not for everyone, I understand that, but if you want to pull an intuitive guidance for yourself or your family or friends just to, try something out, it's definitely worth it. Why? Because it teaches you to let go. Let go of expectations, let go of any fear of the unknown, because most of the universe or almost everything other than us are invisible. So you can't fear the unknown, because you can only see them through your psychic senses. It teaches you how to let go, which is a great technique, especially if you struggle with negative self-talk, if you struggle with really heavy emotions and you can't seem to break them. Letting go, um, for me, I use the David Hawkins technique because I think it's so simple and it's so effective. And you just sit there and say, "Give me more of it, give me more of it," until it hits you so hard that the only way to go is to release it. And it's
Mm.
simple. It takes maybe 20, 30 seconds. And in the beginning, when my emotions were still high, my energy wasn't balanced, I wasn't working on alchemy at that point. Um, your energy can be all over the place, sometimes even out of your body.
Huh, that's awesome. I haven't heard of that technique before. I might have to try that. I think
Definitely
everyone
check
can
it out.
agree that letting go can be really, really
Yeah,
difficult. Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. My what part of my definition of awakening is just really learning to live a more conscious life. Like I think about like before I felt like I went through my awakening experiences, and afterwards I feel like what really changed for me was living unconsciously, just kind of slugging through every single day, making all sorts of decisions on what I did and how I felt without having any conscious recognition of what I was even doing or thinking. And I feel
Mhm.
like awakening is like being so present that you recognize that you have all these choices in how you are and the experience that you have in every moment. And I agree with you. I think intuitive and psychic development can be extremely helpful in that journey to really give you a different view on yourself and your life. You know, it can give you kind of that, like, rise you up and give you like that 10,000 foot view.
I agree. And if anyone doesn't know what Amber is referring to, feeling like there's no cognition going through all of your life and your daily actions, just think about when you're driving a car and sometimes you get to your destination and said, I don't even know how I just got there. That's how most people live their life on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think I've kind of my old self is almost like a zombie. Yeah, I didn't realize that I was creating basically a life I didn't want to live. Like every choice and feeling I was having in every moment was leading me to this life I didn't want to live. And awakening really helped me realize that I could make different choices. I could have different feelings, and I could create the life that I really wanted to live through that consciousness.
I agree.
Yeah. So, Ralph, tell us about what led you to the Akashic Angel Healing Academy, for you to discover the Akashic Records.
So I've always known about the Akashic Records, and I've always thought that you had to be the super special person to read them, which is a complete lie. If you want to read them, you're supposed to be reading them. And I know that you were my mentor in the Angel Alchemy Academy, so I already knew. So it was a great segue into your group. But working with the angels is something I do every day. So that was another segue into the group as well. But actually tapping into the Akashic Records has changed my life dramatically. I've tried other methods. I've done the Linda Howe book, and I've done some courses online, and just never really got the same experience. But when I tapped in with using the opening prayer, which was given by Linda Howe, I modified it because you said we can edit it the way that we want to make it more personal. Definitely made a huge difference. So once I tapped in and I experienced the vibration of the Akashic Records, I felt like I was at home for the first time, which it's an incredible feeling. And then the intuitive guidance from the Akashic Record guides themselves is totally different than if you're speaking to an angel or you're speaking to your own personal spiritual guides. So I think the guidance became much more direct. They don't beat around the bush per se, which for me, I like that. I like tapping in, asking the questions, and moving on and saying, okay, I accept it, and here we go. And especially when you're doing sessions for others, everyone loves to go into the Akashic Records because they love to have open conversations. The way that I work in the records is I tap in and I speak to the guides, and I act as a channel for the guides to speak directly to the client. And it's almost as if they're speaking to the guides directly, and it's a very nice conversation flow. So it is my business, right? So that's one, how it helped me. And then two, it's the first time I ever really felt like I was at home, is in that vibration when I shifted. So it was like a life-changing event for me.
I love how you said it made you feel like you're at home, because I have that feeling in the Akashic Records too. I practiced a lot of different in intuitive modalities before I got to the Akashic Records. And once I got into the Akashic Records, I had this deep feeling of being at home, but it also just felt like it just like blew everything open. Like it felt like it was a struggle for me to get a lot of information before. And then with the Akashic Records, it just felt like it just flowed in. And like you said, like the guides in the Akashic Records don't beat around the bush, you know, they're just kind of like, here it is, you know. And I absolutely love that too. You know, I don't need things necessarily sugar-coated when I'm trying to get intuitive guidance for myself. So I love your description about that.
And
I
I'm with you. Sorry, keep going.
Oh, I was just going to mention too, you had mentioned about modifying the prayers, and I think that was a fun point that you brought up too. In my program, I share about 3 or 4 prayers with people, because you have your own energy resonance, and so different prayers are going to resonate for different people. I share my own prayer, but I share other prayers that I've used in the past, or that I really like the energy of, and people can pick out which one really resonates and works best for them.
Yeah, and I love that. I think that was so personal, and the way that if you connect with the prayer, it makes it easier to get into the records. You know, from that perspective, and as soon as you embrace the records like that, you shift, right? You
Mhm.
shift right away. And that's when you know you're in the records. And then you know, as you practice more and more and more, you get used to the vibrational change. But in the beginning, it's kind of hard because it could be very subtle
Mhm.
and you don't know. But if you do things like that and you modify them and you resonate with what you're actually saying, um, I think it helps.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. I agree. It needs to be personalized.
Mm.
Um, well, I'm hoping you can share with us a little bit about what you found and have discovered about your higher purpose through your awakening journey.
Okay, so when I first started this, it was literally just to help myself.
Mhm.
I was probably like a sad case, like just mental health problems. I had everything in the world, great family, great house, great job, and nothing ever like filled the cup, right? And it's that's kind of where I started, just to really just get on my own feet and say, hey, everything should be enough. What is not, what's the problem? And it's because I didn't tap into my psychic abilities and I didn't pull in more of my true self. I wasn't conscious about my daily actions, things like that. And as I started working in the records, as I started working with angels and learning alchemy and energy healing, then I started working with my classmates and I realized that the one thing that actually made me come alive was helping others. So,
Mm.
and I was like, it started to become a pattern and I started to tap in more. And then I realized when I actually tap into these abilities for other people to help them, it's amplified, right? It's not just for yourself. You're actually being of service to these people when you're doing this. So over time, in all the classes I took and adding all the modalities, I think the Akashic Records was the glue that held all of this together because you can channel in the records, you can work with angels, you can do alchemy, you can do theta healing, you can do mediumship, and you can do it right in there and you make sure that their book records everything and just kind of work with it like that. But I think over time it became a personal journey that became more of a life of service, which I geared my life more towards that now because I know how bad it can get, and especially if you have everything and you're still empty. There are so many people like that, and if you're one of those, you're understanding exactly what I'm talking about right now, and being of service, being connected to my higher self, working in my own energy was one of the most special things that I've ever done. And then being able to share that with others fills the cup. So,
Yeah, your story definitely touches my heart because that feels like it's exactly where I started to. I would like when I was having all my mental health issues, like I had everything too, and it just felt like nothing was helping. And it really helped me really discover my purpose, which is really helping others too. So thanks for sharing that with us. Um, well,
uh,
tell us a little bit about how you help people now. How can people work with you?
so I am the owner of Good Vibes Healing. We focus on hypnosis and energy therapy. So it's all the modalities are based around energy healing. So I'm a theta healer. I'm QHHT certified, so that's kind of a different subset of what I'm working on. But the traditional psychic intuitive medium skills, we go into the records. We use energy healing or alchemy, along with mediumship, channeling, or theta healing, and just try to reprogram them. So most people that come to me are the people that have trouble in their everyday lives. So it's similar to how I describe myself before my awakening experience. I had everything. It's just nothing's ever right. I'm having mental health problems. I'm having physical health problems. I'm having financial problems. Whatever the issue is, just add it in. Um, we pull out negative recurring patterns from the person's belief system because I feel like belief work is probably one of the most important. So what we do is we clear your energy field. We get everything working to its most optimal state, and then we start to work on your beliefs because what you think about yourself actually creates your reality. So we want the most positive outcomes that is going to be geared 100% towards your soul and life purpose, which now I've I've come to realize that those are two separate things,
Mhm.
right? And and I think that coming into your life purpose is you know, who you are, what your characteristics are going to be, what your job is going to be. And that can be interwoven with your soul purpose. But typically your soul purpose is something very specific. It's a very, I would say, karmic related thing. So if you're probably paying back karma, or you're clearing karma from other past lives, or I think in your soul purpose can be something like being a healer, or being as a life of service towards others, you know, things like that. Versus a life purpose could just be who you are, what your personality is going to be, what your job's going to be. I'm going to live here. I'm going to like dogs in this life, but cats the next life, you know, things like that. Just your basic life characteristics. So,
Mhm. Nice. Well, so
so
how do
wrapping
people
it all
find
up,
you?
sorry. So they find me on goodvibeshealings.com. It's with an S, or they can find me on the Good Vibes Soul Tribe on Facebook. It's a group for everyone on the healing journey. We do healings, channelings, theta downloads every week. We're doing a 28-day accountability challenge for negative recurring patterns. So if you want to change a pattern in your life, this is the type of challenge you would want to do. Is we set the intention in the beginning. We have healings almost every day or every other day. We have theta downloads to positively reinforce what we want to achieve during this 28-day period. And it's 28 days. So the cells in your body actually replace themselves within 28-day cycle. Most people have like 14-day or 21-day challenges. But I thought 28 days, if you want to start fresh and start new, since your cells are actually replacing every 28 days, plus you get a new resonance in those cells. I think it was a kind of a you know, 2-for-1 deal.
I love that. That sounds like a really powerful group. You're doing a lot of great stuff together. I will make
Thank you.
sure that as I share this video on YouTube and on Facebook, I'll share those links so people tuning in can join your group and find your website too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ralph. It was so fun to hear your story. And personally, there was just so many things that resonated for me that I was like, I went through that too. So it was a lot of fun to chat with you.
All right. Thank you so much, Amber. This has been great. And for anyone that's looking to go to the Akashic Angel school, I think it's definitely worth it. It changed my life. It brought me the glue that holds my whole business together and my whole life. And it's been such a wonderful experience.
Oh, well, thanks, Ralph. I really appreciate
Yeah.
that. And for everyone tuning in, thank you for watching. We will be sharing more awakening stories with you soon. Until then, sending you lots of love.